into the current political climate. And of course, Andrea is definitely no stranger to Power 95. We'll be exploring that side. We've done, other programs, and of course, it's a pleasure to have her back in this capacity. So let me just give you guys an opportunity to come on in and share the life, and we'll take it from there. You can put on your headphone. So we also live on Facebook, so you can head on over to our Power FM Facebook page. Let me just check to see if I shared myself, and you can do the same. All right. So if you have not shared us yet, guys, please do so because we have a very, very interesting conversation ahead of us. All right. So please share. Good morning, Christelle. Good morning, Marianne. Who else is here? Vivian. Good morning, Hermelin. Good morning, Shirley. Good morning, Varon. Ian. Good morning. Shauna. I'm seeing the folks in Brooklyn, Texas checking in. Where else are you? Good morning. So nice of you to join us. As always, a pleasure to have you guys in the room. Now, like I said, we are anticipating a very, very interesting conversation this morning. So please share. Good morning, Della. Yeah, you've got to be here. Shout out to the guys at the Morris Bishop International Airport. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Alrighty, so we're gonna start, and you guys can fall in because I know sometimes you get the live notification a bit late, but you can always check the page because at exactly 11 we jump into the ladies' room, so you can. If you have not gotten it as yet, you can just go on over to our Power page or go on over to my Facebook page, and you'll be able to join us live. Or if you're listening to us via radio, that works as well. Good, awesome. Alrighty. So let me introduce my guest. Good morning, Andrea. It's so good to have you back and finally meeting you in person. It's a pleasure indeed. How are you?
I am well, Aruna, and thanks for having me back. I've been excited to see your studio. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And you look good in it.
Thanks so much. That is my little space, my office. It's a pleasure to have you indeed. So how have you been though?
I've been well. I did a little bit of globe trotting the last
Yeah,
few
saw a
weeks.
couple
And
pictures.
just came back about 2.5 weeks ago, and this time I missed the Spice Isle. So I really have a great appreciation for it this time. And
Come up a little closer.
I love Grenada, and I'm ready. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to give. I'm ready to serve, and I'm ready to see Grenadians reach their highest potential,
Fantastic.
especially in the climate that we're in now.
Yes, and do we have a lot to talk about surrounding that? So, for the benefit of those who may not be too familiar with you or tuned in for the very first time, maybe you can just give us a little background on you, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, I am Andrea Elizabeth Rapier. Born, raised in Grenada, right there in Belmont. Attended the Anglican High School, and thereafter moved to the US and to Sweden. And I studied psychology and human resources management. And I spent some time in the US Army, did corporate work, ran my own businesses. I'm a mother of six, proudly, my highest
Why did I
achievement.
think you have one?
No, I have six, one girl. And about a year and a half ago, I decided to put everything on hold and return to Grenada with my family because I realized that we're in a strategic place in history in our country and what we're capable of, and I have something to give, and I wanted to give it while I still had my high energy and while the country still has the opportunity to move forward. So here I am.
And here you are, ready to serve. And there's a lot of young people. Of course, if you've been paying attention to the past couple of weeks, a lot of our young people have been called to serve in different political parties. Your thoughts on that? What do you think about it? Is it a good look, or is it something that you think?
I think both.
Mhm.
In one sense, it's great to see young people engaging the political space. And that could be wonderful if they're entering politics with a mindset about leadership and if it's a selfless commitment to the country, to the people.
Mhm.
On the other hand, there could be some naive that comes with youth. And it's important that these young people understand their alignments, what it means, their value systems, and the values of our country, the importance of our culture, the importance of our land, who we are as Grenadians. And if they're stepping forward to lead with the right balance of integrity and wanting to put people first, then I say go for it, but submit yourself to a good mentor who is balanced and who can check you.
Mhm,
so
mhm.
that power does not become that the ability to make decisions and to sort of rise above the crowd does not go to your head in layman terms.
I love that point
And
you made about having people check you, because too many people have folks around them that's doesn't matter what they do, it's always yes, yes, yes,
no,
yes.
we need the
And nobody
balance.
would say, listen, nah, I'm not feeling that. I
Yeah.
think you should have, or you ought to, or you could do better in this way or that way or the other. Not everything you see, it's okay, it's by you, and you're not saying a word because you're afraid of the backlash or how they'll
Right.
receive it. I think in August, well, if you can have those people around you, it really keeps you grounded, you know?
Absolutely. And the grounding is important because we have to be honest about our own humanity,
Hmm.
and we're all subject to it. It doesn't matter how developed and how mature you are. We're all subject to pride. We're all subject to selfishness. We're all subject to be opportunistic. And when the opportunity presents itself, if we're not guarded and if we don't have structures in place for our own integrity to manage our integrity. So our young people, I want to tell them, if you're going to do this, do it from the integrity of leadership and not for self promotion and not for fame or fortune, not to build your portfolio, not to build your wealth. Because honestly, the way our country is now, we don't need any more pirates. We've had enough of those for the last 40 years. We really need people who are going to serve and lead properly. And I think our young people are capable of it if the circumstances around them allows them to have integrity.
Speaking about integrity, though, because just looking at it from both sides, I've seen folks, going back and forth at each other, and I'm like, we keep missing dropping the ball continuously. We keep missing it. We keep doing the same thing over and over. And what we should be doing is say, hey, I may not be supporting what you're supporting, but we can unite and say, we want better for our country. We want to see the best. We could be this way, we could be so much more advanced in this way or that way. But it's the still we still have the tugging and the pulling, and it's all about the colors, and I'm this side and I'm that side. And at the end of the day, it's all about Grenada, irrespective of who goes there, it still remains Grenada.
And you see,
Mhm,
it's the leaders. There's a leadership style to divide and conquer. I call
mhm,
it narcissistic leadership,
mhm,
where if you could keep the people divided, then you can always conquer them because it's in unity that there's going to be strength and there's going to be energy and inspiration and support for
mhm,
change. Um, what's very important is that our leaders understand that vision is what politics is about. So when there is no vision, negative politics takes its place. And it keeps us distracted. We, the people, we stay distracted so that
mhm.
we don't demand a vision. We don't demand results. We don't look at the essence of who is this political leader? What is their value? What are their values? What do they stand for? Who is this individual in character? Is this person loyal to their family? Are they faithful to their spouses? These questions that if we answer them correctly, we're going to benefit from their leadership. So when there's no vision, then we fill the space with noise. And some of that noise is negative campaigning. So as long as I could keep your eye looking at that guy's fault, you'll never look at me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
vision is what our country needs now. We need vision, we need visionaries, and we need people who are willing to lay down the
It's
pettiness to carry that through to benefit the country.
it's I'm happy that you said that, because it's funny how easily we are distracted, because so the past couple weeks, the different parties have been having going out to the different communities and what have you, and having these engagements. And you'll see people taking a slip of the town, or somebody on stage identifying another party and this and that, and that is their takeaway from a 2 or 3 hour session, speaking on development, speaking on where we're heading, our health system, or pension issue. And the biggest takeaway after that on social media are the blunders that people make. And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
Well, you have to understand in human psychology where it's coming from. The blunder and the focus on the blunder is a symptom of something bigger that we're ignoring. People are dissatisfied and they're listening for something dynamic. They're listening for some content. They're listening for hope. They're listening for a solution. So, because people are frustrated and because we are divided along the lines of party and religion and all the rest of it and economy, when there is any error, it it is abrasive. It's
people
adding to the
pounce on it.
irritation. It's
Mhm.
adding to the irritation. I will say, however, that as a speaker, it's your responsibility to not make certain blunders, but
Mm.
also if you make them, to have a speech with the kind of power and dynamic and inspiration and motivation that people cannot focus on the blunder because you delivered so much value. And so value must become the anthem
The
of what
value
we have to
trumps the
say.
blunder. Mhm.
And people are looking for value. So if you throw something at a hungry person, they're going to eat it. Food tastes really good when you're hungry. And
Mhm.
sometimes you say, this tastes good. I must be hungry, right?
Mhm.
Hungry people will eat. So people are actually looking for substance. They're looking for value. They're looking for change. They're looking for solution. If you are a speaker and you're delivering it and you are a potential leader or a leader, and you giving people what they're asking for, then people are going to appreciate that. So it really comes back to us leaders. I never blame the follower.
Mhm.
Everything is on the leader at the end of the day. And so it comes the challenge of meeting the needs of the people that you meet, the challenge of your own humanity getting in place. This is why integrity is so important, because when people trust you, you can blunder,
Mhm.
right? And I would say for the people on both political sides, there's nothing wrong in appreciating value in the other side, because
Mhm.
any value that is brought by any political party is the benefit of Grenada, right?
Mhm.
So if we keep it about Grenada, then we need to appreciate value, because you know what happens when parties go in and out of power? They erase the value that's been laid by the previous
Yes. Mhm.
administration
And
to
they create
start
their own.
again
Mhm.
and simply set us back over and over
There's
and
no
over.
continuity really. Everybody
We
wants to
need
create their
continuity.
own.
So whatever Erigeri had done, we should have held on to it. Whatever Broffett had done, we should have held on to it. Whatever Brizan had done, we should have held on. Whatever Keith Mitchell has done good for the country, we should hold on to
Mhm.
that. Whatever NDC has done for the country, we should hold on to that. I can't
Mhm.
forget Blaze. Whatever
Mhm.
Blaze has
Mhm.
done, we should hold on to that.
Mhm.
But we don't. So we come in and we create this dynamic of erasing what's
And having to
important,
start
what's
all over again
valuable,
every five
having to
years.
start over and setting the people back. However, if you look at it, the politicians aren't set back. They're doing just fine, because, again, it wasn't about Grenada to start with. If it's about Grenada, then everything that's valuable in our community, we need to build on it so our
Mhm.
next generation can take it further. That's how development happens. It has to start somewhere and allow the next generation to take it further. And I would like to add here that we look at our young people, and when I say young, I'm saying 30 and
Mhm.
under. We look at our young men, our young women, and we complain that they're lazy, they don't want to work, they don't want to. That's a symptom of a bigger issue. The human spirit wants to excel. It's in all of us. The human spirit wants to prosper. The human spirit wants opportunity, wants to be well, wants equality, wants to have an impact. Create an environment and an atmosphere for that. And our young people will be excited, they'll be energized, and they'll do it. No one wants to farm for 12 hours a day in the hot sun, and at the end of the week, you're still struggling to pay your bills. We need to make work sexy in our country. And
Mhm.
how is it sexy? Look at any young person on payday. Shoes are clean,
Mhm.
fashion's in
Look
line,
good. Mhm.
haircut is done,
There's a
nails are
smile.
done,
Mhm.
smile on their face, regardless of what else is happening in the world, because the reward for work was realized in that moment. Let's make work sexy by creating an opportunity for our young people. And then we won't see them some of the issues that we're having right now. It's a symptom. And instead of condemning them for the symptom, we need to go to the core and heal it, because it's our responsibility to do so.
And that word, the responsibility word, is something that you use lightly, but it has, it's a really powerful word that if we did took it on some more, we'll see such a big difference. Now, back to us, the populace. How can we demand more from our leaders and make sure that they follow through with their promises? Because it's like you said, it's like a revolving door. You hear the same stories basically every time. Probably tweak it here and there, but it's basically the same thing. Regurgitated information. Now, how do we maintain and hold fire on the feet to ensure that, hey, you said this, you came to me and you said this is what we were going to do for country, this is what we're going to see, here's our blueprint, here's our plan for the next 90 days, the next 100
Mm.
days, next 2 years, this is the plan. Hold me accountable. How do we do that?
Hmm.
If you say to me this is going to happen and then the 2 year period pass, there's nothing, there's no coming back to me and saying, well, I know I did say this was going to happen, but such and such happened, so it won't be possible now. There's like nobody reports.
Right.
So how do we hold our leaders and those who are in office accountable?
Right. So I have to answer that twofold. One
Mhm.
is about the future, one about the past.
Mhm.
In the past, when those deliverables were not met, we did not punish
Someone
it.
says you miss Morris Bishop.
We did not punish it. And how do we punish a political party? We don't vote for them again. That's basically the measurement, right? We don't vote for them again. Now we are two-party state generally, usually.
Mhm.
And so we put one in and we put one out. Give one a chance to see what they're going to achieve. And we have to be patient. We have to be patient about expecting those deliverables. But our politicians also need to renegotiate. It's just like any relationship. If I said I'm going to do something and I can't, I need to come back to you and
Mhm.
renegotiate. I said I'll be there at 3. Is it okay if I show up at 3:30? I said I'll turn this report in on Friday. Is it okay if you get it on Monday? We can't assume it's okay. That assumption is made because the people accept it. And every time we elect that government, what we have said is that we confirm your previous behavior and we're okay with more of it. So we have to sober up and look at our political choices as if it affects our bottom line, because it does. It does. Now, in the future, we need to look at our future choices from that perspective. Has these people who are asking us to hire them to run our country proven that they can do the job and that they will do it if given the opportunity? Because that's what happens when you go on a job interview, right? I don't show up at a job interview, play my music, give a great speech, and then expect a job. I show up and prove myself. I deliver content. Here's what I've achieved. Here's what I can bring to your company. Here's the value that I have. And here's my track record of delivering that value. And then let them decide among the choices who's the best candidate. We need to demand that kind of conversation in our campaigning.
Mhm.
Unless we demand that kind of conversation, then we have to take whatever leadership we vote for because we're not making intelligent choices. I'm happy to say,
Mm.
however, that Grenadians are intelligent people. We are now waking up from the illusion that someone else is going to do it for us. And we're waking up, and you could feel that energy in the country. And everywhere you go, people are saying it. They're saying it to my organization. They're saying it's time for change. We want deliverables. We're demanding more. And they're willing to step forward and deliver change as well. And our political climate and the way you just described it is the reason why the people who could deliver on stepping up into political leadership, because they don't want more of that same dynamic. They want their reputation to hold out in their leadership. They want their integrity to hold out in their leadership. They don't want under the table deals. They want transparency. And so those people have stayed out of the political realm because that's what we've accepted as the standard. But it's time for a new day in Grenada. It's time for, and we know it, we feel it, we're sensing it. We've had 3 protests in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Mhm.
That's the Grenadian people saying, no, 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 no. This isn't going to work anymore. We're not accepting it. And we have the spirit. We are the giant who can get up and show the Caribbean how it's done, how change looks, what change can become. And we have to begin by changing leadership. We have to begin by making better choices. And I hate to say it's kind of disappointing looking at either choice at this moment.
Somebody is making a really good point. They said we need to manage a country based on deliverables and measurable outcomes, like a project and a business. This laziness of management and saying that is how we do needs to be stomped out.
Mm-hmm.
We have to demand results.
Yes, yes. I have an organization, and we have been looking at the country as a corporation.
And that's how
And
it
and,
should
and what
be.
does a corporation do? First of all, they have a unique selling point. They have something that they believe the market needs that they can provide better than anybody else. So that's Grenada. What is it that we can do better than anybody else? Well, I can go down a whole long list on another show of what that
Mhm,
is.
mhm,
Um, as a company, you have a vision and you have
mhm,
expectations, and people
mhm.
have roles that will deliver those expectations to your bottom line. When you have a company, you provide benefits to make sure that your employees are
And of
capable
course, and
of
incentives.
delivering, incentives to make sure that they're delivering. So you have healthcare plans and you have other little
Mhm.
incentives, compensation
Little
and
tax
benefits
break here or
so
there.
that people are well to do the work you're asking them to do. We need our nation to be well. We need our people to be healthy. We need them to be paid well for good work. We need to ensure that they have the capacity and the vocational skills to deliver good work. So if we manage the country as a business, Grenada would be profitable and everyone in it, because one thing a company must do is pay their human resources.
If that's the case, we are constantly in the red.
We are in the red. We're in the red. Not only are we in the red, our employees are suffering, right? Our country is are suffering. And who are the employees? Our business people, our students, every single citizen is bringing something to this corporation. They are a shareholder, they're a stakeholder, they're a contributor, they're an owner, right? And they have to be the intrinsic benefactors and beneficiaries of the productivity that Grenada is capable of. So this political model that's about power, in the sense of having political positioning, needs to be about a different type of power, an empowerment of the people of the country to be able to create the deliverables for the nation. And so it's a challenge to Grenadians, and we're hearing the challenge, we're hearing the call, people are talking about it, that now it's time to get down to business. Get down to business. And we want leadership that will represent that value.
Someone says, you know what, this is the best they've heard in a long time without, offending anybody, but, keeping it totally real. And that's what it's about. I think this is what people want right now. I think people are tired of running around their house and, like the games and the mind games and what have you. We need people who are on track. We understand where we're at. I mean, unless you're living under a stone, we understand what's going on. So expecting more should be like a big deal right now, especially if you live here 365 days of the year, especially if you live here. Wanting more should be a big deal because, this is something that I always say. Everyone should have the opportunity to travel at least once in their life, get out and see other places, more developed places, and you'll have a greater appreciation that, when you step back and then you land on Morris Bishop, you're like, what are you really doing?
But they're first going to have to be able to afford the bus from St.
From wherever
Patrick's
to
to
get
Point
there.
Celine, right? And so opportunity again, and I firmly believe that political power, if power is anything, it should be about prosperity. It should be about opportunity. It should be about wellness. It should be about equality, not equal results, because everyone determines that sovereignly, but equal access. You don't have to be born into a certain family. You don't have to attach yourself to a certain political idea. You don't have to compromise your family. You don't have to prostitute your daughters and sons. But there is equal access so that you can have what the government minister can have. Your child has the same potential to excel academically and in business and in any other field like everyone else. And so we want to be able to provide equal access to opportunity. And then we can make a regional impact. And that's power, prosperity, opportunity, wellness, equality, and regional impact. Why regional? Because all the little Caribbean islands are swimming in the same sea, fighting the same sharks. And it's time now for us to say, we have a harpoon, we have a net, we have the power.
We can find
Let's
our own
do
fish.
it.
Let's get it.
Let's do it on our own.
It's as a matter of fact, it was only last week someone said to me, this person came in for a couple of days, and they were saying to me, for the life of them, they can't understand for a little rock with 100 and something thousand people, like that is a city, why we aren't more advanced, considering we're not even as big as Jamaica, millions. We're not even 500,000 people. We're just like a drop in the bucket. We're just like a little dot in the entire world. And why are we should be in the perfect position to be way more advanced considering how small we are.
Absolutely. Because we've been lied
People shouldn't
to.
be struggling at this point in their lives.
No, they shouldn't. We've been lied to. We've been told that Grenada doesn't really have resources, so we depend on tourism. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? And we depend on tourism, but we haven't even excelled in tourism.
We haven't even developed
it.
Really.
We are at the bottom of the tourism bucket. We're on the dregs of tourism. Where we can have medical tourism, where we can have social development tourism, where people who want to develop projects can test their projects here among our own people, social projects and things like that. So there is a lot of opportunity for a different kind. Extreme sports. Have you looked at the north, what the ocean looks like in the north? We can have an extreme sports industry. That's a different type of tourism. So again, if we follow a business model, you have to determine what is our unique value that we could do better than anybody else that can make our organization profitable. if you think of the nation as a business organization. And when you do that, you become creative. And when you're creative, you could find those opportunities so that the people within can prosper. So if we believe, and I was just having a conversation with someone saying, Grenadians are hardworking, intelligent people that we could take to the bank. We've been told the opposite and we believe them. The only problem is what we believe, not what we're capable of. We're still intelligent, we're still hardworking, and we still have this beautiful land.
Mhm.
So, if we change what we believe about ourselves, if we change what we expect, because if you value yourself, if you value your village, if you value your community, then you're going to value your politics differently. If we return to that value and realize that the only power that really matters is really me and what I could do with that power to impact what's happening around me and take responsibility for that and wake up and believe that story, and then we could begin to have the fruits of that intelligence and that hard work. It breaks my heart every time I walk through town and I see the women vendors sitting on the corner of the sidewalk at my feet selling their vegetables. I understand the spirit of overcoming. Grenadians are hustlers.
Mhm.
What we've done in the economy that we've had, we're very creative people,
Mhm.
but we're still at the ABCs of that creativity. Our senior citizens should be able to retire, whether they've been in farming or whether they've been at the
Mhm.
bank. They should be able to retire with the same dignity and watch their grandchildren play and not sit in the sun on the ground in town trying to get some breadfruit sold so that they can
Mhm.
feed
Feed their
those
family.
grandkids.
Mhm.
They can feed. We should respect them better. We should respect them better. And it's disrespecting and insulting to us.
And you know what? It's amazing because when that comes falls in line with what you said about the talk about not having enough resources. These are the resources. Or people are the resources.
Our people are
Our
number one,
people are the
our number one
resources.
resource.
And we have and that's another thing that really grinds my gears because the same breadfruit and the same fruits and vegetables that you see them selling. You travel and you go to the different food markets and what have you, and the cost of it. You're seeing there's breadfruit flour now. There's so
Right,
many things made
right.
out of stuff we have here. So if you for you to say, you know what, we don't have the resources, how are we not creating the resources for all these? You just throw something out your window and you blink and you're
It
seeing
grows.
something grows.
Yes, yes.
Why can't we use that
We have
and
everything we
create
need.
the resources and create those things?
Yes, we have everything we need in Grenada for economic sovereignty and for a healthy social community. We have it in our people and we have it in our natural resources. And I could just go down the list of natural resources. It's just
Imagine being
another
this
thing.
small and we can't even feed
But
ourselves.
but in one sense, our market is oversaturated because
Mhm.
we have so many farmers, small farmers, so many vendors who are trying to move those
And
products for
have
their
the
own
same products at
livelihood,
the same
right?
time.
What if we produced all our easy growing natural agricultural products? If we scale growth on that, on our farming, keep, I would say, 30 to 50% of that within the country to sustain our own population and manufacture high quality niche organic produce and send that out into the world, export to all over the world, not as a commodity. So we're not putting the breadfruit in a freezer and setting it on a ship. No, we're going to make our own chips. We're going to make flour. We're going to make our nutmeg oil at a scale that now it can actually go into places where it makes impact, right? We have what it takes and we have the people. We're already working hard. We're just not getting paid for it,
And cut down on the import bill.
right? And see some of the importations that we have because we're importing things that we can produce on our own and we can do it better.
Someone told me they have to get beef from St. Vincent. They have to go to St. Vincent to purchase cows to come back.
It's a shame. It's a
I'm like,
shame. It's a
what?
shame. We
Yes,
shouldn't
he
be
said
importing
he
chicken.
goes to St. Vincent to buy the cows to come
Ah,
back and
I believe it. I believe it. But there's a path to correct it. There's a path to correct it. And that part has to be a different kind of leadership model and elevate our people with prosperity and opportunity and wellness and equality and the opportunity to have a regional impact so we could pull the region up and do even more and be a more viable economy.
now in terms of, what do you think can be done differently to ensure that, changed benefits all, whatever change that is? Because there has to be a change somewhere, somehow. How do you think that can benefit all? How do we get to be part of that?
I think the first step is to dump the old politics.
Mm-hmm.
because we have to look at where the legislation is coming from. And when I say dump the old politics, I'm not talking about the party that's in power. It's far bigger than that
Mm-hmm.
because the other one isn't much better. So we need to dump the old way, the old system of functionality or lack of
Mm-hmm.
thereof, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have to make that as a conscious choice. A lot of Grenadians are looking at the choices that we have now politically are saying, I'm not voting. I can get my ID card because that gives me an ID card, but I'm not voting because I don't like the choice. Unfortunately, you're still going to be victimized by the same elements.
Mm-hmm.
So now we need something new and we need Grenadians as participants. And I'm happy to represent them and say, yes, they're participating now. I'm seeing it in my organization. And we have some of the most incredible people who are saying, you know what, I'm not a politician, but I know how to lead and I know how to do business. And I know how to make this business model idea work for the country. And so I'm willing now to get into a game that is going to pay off for everyone. We sort of have the concept that there's as people that if I'm going to do well, you need to not do as well because you're competition for me. It's actually the stark opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the governments that we've had in the last 30, 40 years have been short-sighted because if the nation prospers, they will do better.
Mm-hmm.
They will do better with clean hands. They will do better. And we have to position the country for everyone to do well. It's time out now that we have an extreme poverty level at the rate that we have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 13%, you know. Our
For an
actual
island so
poverty
small.
for an island so small that is so wealthy. Wealthy people, and when I say wealthy people, I mean in what we're capable of, in our potential, and a
Because
wealthy land.
listen, for the last 2 years, the creativity and the will to survive by some people just totally,
Mm-hmm.
people who lost their jobs as a result of COVID, who were in the tourism industry and what have you, they didn't sit there, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for stipend or a little handout. They got up and decided, you know what, this is my skill. I've been doing this for how long? So you know what? Let me make something out of it.
Right.
So many small
We got
businesses
creative.
started. The
Got
creativity
creative.
and the will to
Yeah. Yeah.
survive couldn't just sit
And
down and not eat.
And it's unfortunate now that you mentioned people lost their jobs that now that there's no vaccine requirement, no testing requirement, no mask requirement, which we're clapping our hands to. We want that. No one is saying anything about the people who were serving corporations that are now unemployed and they have not been restored. They're still unemployed. They're still struggling. They still have to figure it out. And I think we owe them something. We owe them something as a nation because these people were contributing to our economy. We took that away from them. And now we want our economy to move on without them. There should be some kind of dialogue. And here we are, where we have two parties that are vying for the job of leadership. And neither one is saying, wait a minute, what about the people who lost their employment? What are we going to renegotiate now with these
Hmm.
employers? Because
Yeah.
people still need to hire people now that the country is opening up. So
Hmm.
the first right of refusal, we call it in real estate, where if I'm renting your home and you're going to sell it, then you have to offer it to me first
First
before you offer
before.
it to
Hmm.
someone else. It's called the first right of refusal.
Hmm.
They should have first right of refusal to have their positions back if they want it. If they deny having it, then you move on to someone else. But it can't be a free for all when we've done injustice to some sector of our economy. And again, it goes back to looking at our nation as a business model and having leadership that gets it, that understands that these little dynamics matter because now we have consequences that we cannot just move on and then being bold enough to ask you for a vote when you have not represented my well-being. That in itself is insulting, right? Unless you've given me a paycheck, don't give me a new project, right? That's what we say to our employer: give me my paycheck, it's payday.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
haven't gotten anything, but now you're asking me to give something to you. And it should be the opposite. Our leaders should be serving us and they should be asking us, what's next? What do you want next? What do you need next?
But that is a concept that so many have not grasped. It seems to be the other way around. I'm serving you,
Hmm.
and many still aren't getting that. Hey, I'm basically your employer here. I
Yes.
hired you. You
Yes.
came to me when you wanted a job. You
Yes.
said, you know what? Put me there, and I'll take care of your community, of or your parish. I'll be part of the development. I'll be doing this. I'll be doing that. You literally stood there and gave me all the reasons why I should hire you,
Hmm.
why I should give you this job, and after convincing me that you're the man or the woman for the job,
Mm-hmm.
you get there, and then I feel like, wait, but so many aren't thinking like that. And
Right.
I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, it boils down to personal responsibility. How
Mm-hmm.
do you get to point B if you're not willing to move there?
And I think first of all, there's some advocacy, and we have to understand when people are so busy surviving, they don't have time to smell the roses, right? And smell the roses is a metaphor I use for the luxury of pausing to absorb and observe other things. So to even observe what is realistic in politics, what do I really need out of the people that I hired to run the country? They're too busy in the foxhole, dodging and packing bullets to even understand that there's a scenery to be appreciated. So, but now Grenadians have woken up to that. We're waking up, we're realizing it and wanting something different. We have to demand an answer. We have to demand an answer. And some answers we already know. If I hired you and you didn't do it the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, or you didn't do it on your one shot, I'm not sure if you're going to ever do it. So that's something that we have to consider as well. Um, and then once we've made that consideration, we need to base it on the right values. So right now, people are getting their houses repaired, roads are being put down. And I'm not just talking about our incumbent government, even our opposition. Now they're delivering bags of food and all of this. And in all fairness, they did do that during COVID as well, during 2020. And then they backed off. And now it's election time. 2021, people's needs were even more than 2020. At least in 2020, you had reserve. It's some sort of reserve.
To
But by
tide you over.
2021, it's been drained. Now that the economy is reopening, you're in fumes if you even have that, right? So now we have generosity in our politicians because now everybody wants your vote. The fact that you're even in this position is a reason they don't deserve it, because you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be in the situation where we need them to do the handing out, only to forget and come back in 4 to 5 years and do this again. And I said it before and I'll say it again. Take the handout, for God's sake. Take it.
It's not even a handout. It
But
belongs to
make your
us.
own choice, not based on the loyalty of a handout, but based on your intelligent reasoning and being a little bit selfish and making it about you, making it about me. After election, what will my life be like? What is the next promise that has not yet been kept before? Asking yourself those intelligent questions and being honest about it.
And ask them about it instead of going to rallies and yay and everything is yay and tugging and pulling and fighting on social media back and forth, this, that, or the other.
Embarrassing, it's low,
It's not
it's
helping
not who
us.
we are as a
It's
people.
not
We're
helping us
better
at
than
all.
that. We're better
You
than
know?
that. We're better than that.
Oh my gosh, can't believe that's already the time. Listen, we have to go, but I need you to give any closing remarks that you have. Anything else I probably didn't ask that you want to touch on before we go?
Certainly, certainly. In my closing remarks, I would definitely say to the listeners, um, it's fun sitting on this side of the microphone, knowing that you're there and that what we're saying here means something. You give meaning to
Yeah,
this to
based
this
on the feedback
conversation. Yeah,
on
you really
right.
give meaning to the conversation. Take the conversation beyond this moment, because wonderfully, Runa has provided this on social media, so you can move this around in your circle of friends, in your circle of enemies, even, but move it around and get people thinking. And I referred before to our organization and our business model for leadership of the country. And our organization's name is Power,
Oh, nice. Like
because
our
we
power.
believe that if it is power at all, it should be power for all. And that we have a responsibility to the people of Grenada to help them achieve their highest potential. It's time for us to go from struggling to conquering. And we have it in us if we believe something different. And so I would like to congratulate all the Grenadians who are saying within themselves now, it's time for something different. We agree with you, we hear you, and we're happy that you're part of the conversation. We're happy that you're stepping forward. We're happy that now you're taking it into your own hands to say it's time for true change, true change, true change that you can manipulate with your own hands, with your own heart, and with your own mind, and pass that to your children. So God bless you guys. Mother's Day is coming up next week.
Yes.
To all you women out there, Everything I said, you could apply that to motherhood. You could apply that to your own leadership, to your own self. You're valuable, you're powerful, you are intelligent, and you're hardworking. And you're called to do an enormous job. As a mother of six, I know what that is like. And I would like to encourage you to keep going. You're not going to be perfect every day, but stay with it every day. Stay with it every day and hug your children. In our non-emotional
Mm-hmm.
society, we tend
Mm-hmm.
to not hug
Hug.
so
Mm-hmm.
much and say I love you, but they need to hear it from you. They need to feel it from you. And when you cry, it's okay to cry with them too, because when you laugh, you want to laugh with them. But do life with your children and just remember that you're appreciated, even if you don't feel it now. Right now, they might tell you you're unfair, but in about 10, 20 years, they're going to say, I had the best mom. My mom was fair. My mom was wonderful. So you do it, and they will rise up and call you blessed, like the word of God promises. And I can tell you that that's what happens. And Grenada loves you. If you're a mother, you're carrying the nation, you're carried it in your belly, and you're carrying it on your back, and you're appreciated for that.
I can't wait to have another conversation with you again about this because this time is never enough. So we definitely have to have another session. It's this is what people are looking for: education, so you can make informed decisions, and not just because somebody said something, or like you said, you're loyal to a T. You can't see anything past your nose because of that loyalty, even though it's not working for you, it's not good for you. We definitely somebody saying next time could we please have a session where we can ask us some question. That's a good idea as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so next time is going to be you guys doing the interviewing. All right, so
That'll be
we'll
great.
work on that and get a date. Should be able to ask us some questions. So we'll be happy to do that next time we meet. All right, so I'll let you guys know when. Yes, definitely needs to be brought back. So again, Andrea, thank you so much. A pleasure meeting you finally and having a up close and personal conversation. So we'll touch base again to have some more of these because in the season that we're in, of course, what's happening. Campaign season. The bell has not been rung as yet, but people are out in different communities. The
Mhm.
different political candidates and parties are out and about, so we know what time it is. So something balanced, something to keep people on their toes, thinking. I
Mhm.
think this is what we need. We're not here to make choices for anybody. You decide at the end of the day, but we're just saying when you're armed with information, you can make the best choice for you and your family, and of course, this beautiful rock of ours. All right, so. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, God's will, for the final show for the week. Until then, thank you so much, Beacon Insurance and Western Union, and thank you so much. You need to go back to read some of the comments. There's some really good comments in
Will
there,
do.
so
Will do.
yeah, so you can check it out. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, God's will, same time, same place for another show.